What do you think sort of the headline is here in terms of how you think about and interpret the results for the mice themselves, but also in terms of the implications for human beings?
Just one quick thing I want to say before that's a great question, but you brought up that mom's behavior is affected by the psilocybin treatment, and pups would be exposed directly to the psilocin, and all of that is absolutely true. And one of the things that's really difficult is to disentangle whether or not the effects you see in adulthood are related to the exposure to the
Right.
psilocin or to mom's behavior. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a constant question in my field. And there are many ways of addressing that question. But what we actually did, we did another experiment in this study where we exclusively exposed pups to psilocin. So we did
Oh.
not expose mom at all. And we actually did this within litter. So within every litter,
Oh, wow.
some of the pups were injected with saline and some of the pups were injected with psilocin. We did this on postnatal day 7, so the same time point. And we did observe maternal behavior just to make sure the injections didn't throw mom off, but they did not. We left them totally undisturbed. And once again, 100 days later, we looked at their behavior in the same test battery and we replicated the effects. Not 100%. So there clearly is some probably influence of mom. But
Right.
I think what really stood out to me that's quite robust is in both experiments,
Yeah.
we found a significant change in sucrose anhedonia.
Got it.
Just in one specific test, we saw
Right.
that the same result both times, which is
Yeah.
anhedonia is a
Right.
hallmark of depressive behavior.
Right.
So
Anhedonia, lack of pressure. They're not liking the sweetness as much. We think that is a
exactly.
depression-like thing. Got it. Wow. So if you would have told me that the psilocin completely recapitulated the results, I would have been skeptical because mom's behavior has to have an effect. We know it does.
Right.
What
Yeah.
you're saying basically is giving psilocybin, which turns into psilocin, directly to the pups, alters their development almost as much and in many of the ways as giving it to the mom, whose behavior is then disrupted and then has the effects on the pups.
That's exactly right. And we were surprised, but I am certainly less surprised now having read a handful of papers that came out relatively recently. And there are some older papers that suggest similarly that serotonergic systems are developing during that window
Right.
between
Huh.
postnatal day 4 and postnatal day 8. And so other work has shown that administration of SSRIs at that time or manipulations to the serotonergic system do produce these long lasting changes
Got it.
into adulthood. So there is precedent for that idea, but it was very surprising to see such a similarity in behavioral change in our psilocin only
Yeah.
experiment
Yeah.
compared to our mom experiment.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
intriguing finding because I actually overlooked that experiment prior to talking to you right now. So you just told me for the first time. I would have predicted that most of the effects were coming by way of the mother, in part because the mother's behavior we already know is important, but also because the dose is going to be so much smaller for the pups. But apparently, even though there's going to be a drop off in the dose, mother to pup through the milk, it's enough. And based on what you just said, it actually does make sense. We know that the serotonin system is developing a lot at that time,
Mm.
and that other manipulations of serotonin with SSRIs or other things have that type of effect. So it all did seem to fit in the end when you considered it in the context of all that other literature.
Yes, absolutely.